Okay, hello everybody. This is another episode of Smooth Moves brought to you by your dependable partner.com. And today our guest is Jarett Berman from Etairos Home Health. So welcome, Jarett. And can you please just start out by telling us how you got into what you do and how you got
Yeah,
into this business?
of course. And thank you so much for having me. It's a pleasure. So I'm a regional business developer for Etairos Home Health, and my job is to build new business in regions 9 and 10, which is Broward County and Palm Beach County, as well as to oversee current business, uh, continue just to build new relationships while managing existing relationships. And it's been a great journey. I've been doing this for about 19 months. It was brand new to me when I got into this industry, but I have a lot of passion to help people. And I think that passion kind of breeds confidence. And that's when people see that you're excited about something, they want to be part of it.
Yes, and I've known Jarrett for a little while, and he is extremely passionate about what he does. And he also is very good at connecting people and networking, and he hosts these wonderful networking events. And I know when we were talking about when I went to one, you were telling me that this came from your previous career of how you're doing these networking events. So I think that's a little interesting to tell your sort of origin story, where you came from and how you came into home health.
Sure.
Because
So I was in the hair
interesting
industry.
background. Exactly.
Yeah, I mean, I was going to write a book from hair to healthcare. I came from the hair industry. My grandfather owned a beauty school, and I went to school for that probably in, I'd say, 2002. And I was in the hair industry for the past 18 years. I loved it. I love making people feel a certain way. You know, when you do somebody's hair and they look in the mirror and they make that face that they make when they're styling their hair, the best feeling is when they have this look like, I can't do what you just did for me. I can't do this. And it gets, obviously I wanted to be the best that I could. So I would make sure that my education level was always at the top in that industry of learning all new trends, learning how to run the business, learning how to do product development, product education. And I do think at times it could be a young man's game, where as you start to get older, I didn't want to be behind a chair 5 days a week. And my family, a lot of them are in healthcare. And they always said to me, why don't you get into healthcare? Well, I decided that I wanted to move to Boca Raton probably about June of 2023. I started putting some feelers out. And my boss, my current boss, his wife's best friend owned a hair salon. And she had said to him, why don't you find someone that's a hairstylist? They build great relationships. They're very good at managing existing relationships. They have loyal clients and they connect well. And lo and behold, I put my resume on Indeed and he saw it. And when the company called me, it was actually really funny because they kept telling me that their CEO flagged my resume. And I thought I did something wrong. Like I wrote something I wasn't supposed to write. Why is it flagged? And we set up a call and we spoke, and immediately we had chemistry. And his thought was, if you could learn this business and you can kind of develop what you've developed in the hair industry, if you could do that here and build relationships, I think you could be successful. And he gave me a platform. And on our second call, I knew that I could use my creativity because I made a comment, something like, I'll come to him for advice on certain things. And he was very good at steering me to understand that I'm being brought on to use my creativity to build business. And I was able to use a lot of the relationship building skills, the people skills that I've developed in the hair industry. And this is not easy. When you're doing home health, you're chasing people at the beginning, where when you're hairstyles, people are chasing you. And so I had to learn how to be different, how to stand out, how to show people that from day one who maybe weren't sure how I was going to do, how I can compete with the names in this business that have been doing this for 5, 10 years. And obviously, a few things were to host events, build relationships, and invite people to an event that you're going to be hosting. That was number one. That started to build the, I guess, the name of our company and be able to explain what we do that helps us stand out. So that's a short version to answer your question.
Okay. And I was just that was going to be my next question is we
Yeah,
all know there's a lot of healthcare companies out there. It's a lot of competition, but there's also a lot of people that need home health. So
right,
tell us a little bit about Etaros and what you provide that might be different from some other companies, something that's
right,
makes you stand out.
right. So number one is we're an agency instead of a registry. Everybody that you basically works with us works for our company. We don't just outsource, random, I guess, home health aides that have no affiliation with us. We build relationships with our team. You work for us, obviously, that What were you going to say, Joelle? Go
Yeah,
ahead.
I have a question because this is the first time I've heard registry versus
Yeah,
agency. And I think this is very important for any person out there that's watching this that needs home health care or their family
yeah,
member might need home health care, because
yeah,
this is obviously a question that they should
yep.
be asking. Can you talk a little bit more about what they are?
Sure. So registry pretty much usually they have 1099 employees that will work maybe for them or a couple different registries. With us, you're an actual W-2 employee, so you have the option to get benefits, vacation time. I think you're treated more of a, I don't want to say like family, but from what I see is that we treat our home health aides very, very well. They're also 100% insured when they go into a home. So I just think it's a good route in the sense of being able to know that the company will stand behind everything that we do, and that you're protected, as well as getting someone that has all the certifications and everything is up to date, and that they're getting the proper training to do a great job for you.
So
So
this go ahead, Brian. You're probably going to
I
ask
was
the same
just going to
question I was
say,
going to ask.
what I'm hearing is sort of like a huge night and day difference that shouldn't be just passed over here, you know? Uh, um, you were telling me, if I'm hearing it correctly, Jarett, that when I get Etairos to come and send me someone as an in-home aide, you know who that person is, you know their pros and their cons, you know all about them versus someone that's just kind of available. That may be, you know, sort of an independent contractor, works for this one today, someone else tomorrow, and maybe doesn't know the standards that your company has for them to
Oh,
stay
exactly.
employed there. That's a key.
100%. Because when I do an intake for a new member, a new patient, I speak to a family. Everybody's very nervous to have someone in their home. Some people have never done this, it's the first time. So I have to ask the right questions to make sure that I'm going to pair that patient with a home health aide that's going to click. And I'm not going to say that we're 100% perfect on the first time, because, when you actually have people that get together, it's like setting someone up on a blind date. You might think there'll be chemistry, but they have to actually be able to interact and get along well. And for the most part, we have a very good track record in being able to make that pairing successful. And it's because that we hire the right type of staff, and we do a very good job of understanding what the patient is needing and looking for.
To
It,
me,
it,
I hear a lot of people sometimes say that their issue with the home health aide is, it's somebody different every day. It's
Right.
a evolving door. So this, having them as your own employees prevents a lot of that stress.
Yes. Yes, 100%. And so I always feel, you know, uh, when you have an agency, at least you have more options as far as the company able to really stand behind their product. But everything you and Brian are saying is totally accurate.
you know, I heard a horror story in the newspaper this past week. And I don't know if this person was through an agency or an independent contractor or whatever the case may be. But apparently, this lady hurt her foot. She had a live-in aide for a period of time. She went to New York. She came back. All her jewelry was gone. The aide said that she had nothing to do with it. She had no access to the safe. And yet, when the police went to the pawn shop, all the receipts for the exact jewelry was in this lady's name, and she was
Wow.
arrested. And that's what you get when you don't know what you get. So, you
That,
know,
that that's I was gonna say that's when I was a hairstylist and I used to do house calls. I was always insured, but I always made sure that I would it would be a referral from someone that I knew, because I wanted that comfort level that if I'm gonna go to someone's home and I'm gonna provide hair services, I wanted to feel comfortable from my end and from their end. So it's so important to have that connection with the company that you work with.
yeah, it's critical. I mean, your company vets these folks. They do, I'm sure, a background check and so forth. And um, you know, that's a big difference rather than just hiring someone sort of even on a referral, to be fair, you know. Um, your company has done, let's call it, all the due diligence in the background before that person is even sent out. And then you're making the extra layer, Jarett, of making sure, hate to say it this way, but it's a love connection, the personalities match. Um, that's important.
Mhm.
We also cover, multiple regions. We're a very big company. And I think our customer service, I know from me leading customer service in this area, I just try to follow up and I try to put myself in someone else's shoes. And I've always done that. There are people that call me all hours of the night. I take phone calls. I'm not hard to find. I realize that someone's calling me because they're scared, they're vulnerable, they're nervous. And my commitment is to just make them feel kind of just to rest assured that we're going to help them. We're going to help make tomorrow better than yesterday. And a lot of times when somebody gets older, maybe they've had some losses in life. Maybe they miss their kids, their significant other, and they reminisce about the old days. And I think that the way to kind of combat that is to have someone still be excited about what tomorrow will bring. Find what their likes are, what their interests. Give them a new hobby, something that they could do. My father, he loves doing magic. And when I say that, he is fantastic. So my dad was a retired dentist who always did, card tricks, but his tricks now are unbelievable. And it's like he found a hobby of something that works for him now. And so I always try to illustrate or figure out, what does someone enjoy doing and how can we help them just be excited to do that? And how is our aid going to really enhance their daily life? And so that's such an important quality to me.
What a
I
beautiful
love what you're
perspective. That's a
Yeah, I love
beautiful
what you're
perspective.
saying. Yeah, it's a beautiful thing. And I know, like, I moved here from Maryland to be with my parents and help them.
Yeah.
Thank God they're very functional. But I've known, like, there are a lot of things that, like, for instance, my dad can't do anymore. He can't play golf. He can't ride a bike. These are things that happen, obviously, as we get older, that things that we used to enjoy and like, we can no longer do. Even for somebody my age, like I can't work out like I used to. I can't ride a bike like I used to. Your body starts to betray you a little bit. So I love that you're thinking about what hobby can I introduce to this person? What joy can I bring to their life that makes tomorrow a better day for them? That's just such a great statement. It's just beautiful.
And I appreciate that. And I think anyone that gets to know me, in real life, I should say, as opposed to listening to me on a podcast, I'm very passionate. And I think that, like anything, when you watch someone have passion, you are excited to work with them. And I mentioned this when the call first started. It's just a certain type of twinkle in their eye or their eyes open wider because they're excited. And that's so much better than someone who explains what they do very robotic or very rudimentary and just explaining it. And I don't know if I'm going to do something, I'm either all in or all out. And that's the way I'm in my relationships with work. And you can even ask my boss that. I'm all in. And I want to be the best I could be. I want my journey in home health to be like someone hired me in a movie, right? The way that you would hire Brad Pitt, Mark Wahlberg, and you'd say to them, okay, well, this role, you're going to be playing a college professor. And now they would go and they would study this role, and the movie would come out. And now they'd go to the Oscar Awards, and people would interview them, and they'd say, man, I really thought you were a professor. That's incredible. They learned it. And I knew to be good at this, I'd have to study the role, learn from people that are better than me, and understand what is my goal. How do I get people to call me and say, I want to use your company, I'm comfortable with you? And a lot of it is just to be different. Think of things outside the box that no one else is doing. And like my boss said, take a chance. And I'm very fortunate, Joel, that my CEO, Rich, gave me the opportunity to take chances. And he didn't say to me, we're going to handcuff you where you can only do this, this, this. He said to me, here are the keys to the car. I want you to get here, figure out how to do it, go for it. And he let me use, I guess, the talents that were the skills that are transcending from one industry to the next, and it worked. And so, but I will tell you, it was hard work. I mean, the harder you work,
Sure.
the more doors open. But what you got to learn is when you get a small opening, how do you attack that and turn it into a large opening? That's what I tried to do to be successful.
Well, along those lines, is there a success story you'd like to tell us that I'm sure people would like to hear?
A success, as far as for me, as far as my breakout point, or what do you mean by
Like
that?
with a client that, how you were able to help them and how it became a great thing for them.
Of course, I can give you a couple of them. The biggest
Great.
honor to me is when I'm able to help someone and they send an email to my upper management explaining the services or the feelings they've had dealing with myself and the company. I've had patients call me at night and just tell me stories of they used to play tennis and they used to play mahjong, and they just talk to me. And I'm saying to myself, like, what are they telling me this for? But then I realize that some of them just don't have anyone else to talk to. And maybe they've taken a liking to the interactions with me. And so they keep in touch. And I think that as a success story, the biggest thing are the relationships that I've been able to build and the people I've been able to help as a whole who have stayed in contact with me and told my team about their experiences and how their life has enhanced because of the things they could now do compared to what I guess what their life was like before having the proper home health aid. I know it's a broad answer, but I'm just trying to give you an overall census.
No,
Yeah, no, that's
that's
fine.
a good answer, Jarett. And I'll
Yeah,
tell
it's
you,
great.
I have a couple of people I want to make disappear. So I want your father's phone number if he's a good magician when this is all over. But
You know, the funny thing about my dad is that, and I love my dad so much. I love my mom and my dad, the greatest people. My dad will say to me, and he knows like I'm tired, my brain's not working after a long day, and he'll say to me, I just want to show you three tricks. And he knows the look on my face is kind of like, do I have to think? Like, is this going to be one of these thinking tricks? But then I say to myself, you know what? It makes him happy. And so I'll play along, I'll do it. And then usually at the end of the trick, I'm going, Dad, teach me, please teach me. And he goes, no, no, I can't teach you. But that's the sign of someone. And you know, he always said to me, he likes doing things that somebody else can't do. When he goes to a party, his friends can't do magic tricks. He likes having that. And it makes me feel the same way that I love being able to help somebody to where you have this magical skill set that people just gravitate towards you because you're going to make them feel good.
it's awesome.
Magical is a good word because Jarett is the kind of person when you see him in a crowded room, he's like magnet. Everybody
Thank
wants
you.
to talk to him. There's something about his aura
Thank
that
you.
you just tell this is somebody I want to talk with and want to work with. I
Thank
really.
you. That's so sweet of you, Joel, because you know when you come into something, a new industry, move to a new area, it is scary because there's
Yeah.
always the thought, what if you fail? And you know, I just think if you work hard at something and you make a good strategy and a game plan, you won't fail. And I love going to those events just because I just feel like I don't know, I was born to entertain people in some capacity. And I think being able to speak to someone in person is how you connect. The phone, text, it's a little difficult, but when you're around someone, you really feel their aura, the energy, and you know if you want to be close to that person as far as work with them and learn from them as well. So that's a very nice compliment. Thank you so much.
I mean it sincerely. And is there anything else that you want to tell us that we maybe have
Um,
missed?
So we just our company is always growing, and we have some new things that are going to be coming out in the near future as far as to make it even easier for us to be successful in terms of working with case managers. That'll be debuted in the near future. But we're always looking to just, I guess, I don't want to say reinvent the wheel, but just to stay cutting edge and to think of how do we always step outside the box and be successful. And I will say, stay tuned. I'm going to be doing my next event in November, and the wheels are starting to turn as far as what are we going to do to top casino night that we had in March. But you know, I'm grateful for the chance to tell a little bit of my story to you and to Brian, and just for having me on.
Oh, it's our
How do
absolute
people
pleasure.
reach you, Jarett? If
What
there's a need for in-home care, or if someone just has a general question, how do they reach you?
I can give you my email address. Or just or my phone number and whatever is easier. If you want me to
Let's
give
have
that to you
both.
here, or just give you that afterwards, whatever more simple.
Let's have both, if that's okay
Yeah.
with you.
Yes. So J Berman at eteiroshealth.com. So that's JBERMAN at Etairos, Etairos health.com. Or my number would be 561-703-4903. And that's to reach me, and I'll help you any way that I could.
Super.
Great. Okay, and for us, we are yourdependablepartner.com. And what we do is when people can't stay in their home any longer and are moving to a care community, we help them with everything from downsizing the house and getting into their new place, soup to nuts, one flat fee. And you can reach me at Joelle at yourdependablepartner.com. Brian?
You can reach me at Brian at yourdependablepartner.com. And, you know, at the website, yourdependablepartner.com, there's lots of good information. Joelle and I have put together a blog that really is just full of good, useful tips to help you along the way. And we offer a free, no obligation consultation. Happy to meet with you and show you what we're all about.
Okay, till next time.